What's going on, everybody? The entire Big Obo Wrestling Podcast crew is here tonight, and we're ready to dive in for this week's topics. Before we start, how's everybody doing?
A-OK.
Doing pretty good.
Oh, sorry. So I'm just doing this weird thing, and I got the video playing in the background, so it sounds like I'm echoing. Bryce, D-Way. All right.
When he gets there.
Right, exactly.
He's on time, but yet still late. So let's get right into it. I'm very excited that everybody's here, so I didn't even know how to act. Maybe I should just run down the ring like the Ultimate Warrior, except I had way too much sugar. And just totally hit the LeVar ball. Like that's the thing. That's a new thing now. But no.
No one's ever going to do that again.
The Ball family invaded WWE Raw this Monday. And
sorry, Jamal.
And what an attempt to, I guess, I don't know, maybe create some better ratings or something for Raw on Monday. But they were in LA. The son LeVar Ball the son Lonzo Ball just got drafted to the Lakers with the second pick. So I mean, I guess it makes sense. I'm not hating on it. There's a lot about it I like, but it got so much buzz and attention all over the place. I mean, it was very funny. It was definitely unorthodox. It was wrong at some point, but nonetheless, it happened. What is everybody's reactions on this? Like,
it's a great marketing move. What he's doing right now is all about marketing. It's not about anything else. It's all about getting his name and his brand out there. And it worked to a T.
Did you have any problems with this? Matter of fact, this is an open discussion.
Not at all.
Open table discussion. Everybody just jump in there at any time. Because I mean, it's chaotic as it was. There's no reason for us to be civil about this.
not at all. He proved why he could probably be the next, and I tweeted this too. He could be greater than, and Dr. M will love this, Abraham Washington. Just imagine if he was to be part of Titus's brand and they became like the ultimate big baller brand, and what that mouthpiece would do if he was talking on the mic on the side of the ring while the match was going on. He would just fit right and perfectly with the culture of WWE. That's why I think it was perfect.
You think if it wasn't controversial, you think they would have him back sooner than later?
But that's not his fault. It was his son's fault.
I mean, but man, the big baller brand took a hit with that. If anybody don't know what we're talking about, the son dropped a racial slur, called off Mike, trying to hype his dad up to fight The Miz, and I heard it, and I was like, did I just hear that? There's no way. Then I looked on Twitter, I didn't see anything. Then like 2 hours later, I saw somebody saying something about it. And then WWE the next day obviously came out to say it does not reflect them in any ways. But does it?
It doesn't hurt it. It doesn't hurt it at all because people are going to buy the big baller brand if they want to or got the money for it. And those that don't want to buy it, they won't. So it didn't hurt anything. It was a win-win situation. They couldn't lose.
But again, does that comment reflect the WWE? Matter of fact, doesn't reflect Vince McMahon? Because he seemed to be a little bit accustomed to dropping that word.
I heard about it, but I must have missed the comment because I was trying to find it. Like I couldn't hear it. What did he say?
We can't say can't say on air.
Hey D-Wayne, you know when your man get ready to fight and you try to hype him up and you tell him to beat him down, but instead use some other words?
Okay.
You are from Prince George's County, Maryland.
He hyped this man. He hyped his father up like, yeah, beat him down.
Oh, I mean,
stop.
It's not that serious.
Stop right there, D-Wade. Stop right there. Just stop right there while you're here.
It's not that serious. I mean, come on.
D-Wade.
Go
ahead, Doctor.
I'll pick up where D-Wayne left off. I will admit I tried not to have a problem with this segment, in part because my sense that we have some Ball family fans in the BGB group. But
1.5 fans.
Well, and at the same time, I don't follow, especially NBA that much, but I do follow college basketball. And I mean, obviously, as 2 Chainz pointed out, Lonzo Ball just got drafted to the Lakers, and that's been big news. Although, even though I haven't seen too many UCLA games, I have seen some, and honestly, I don't get the hype. But maybe that's just me. But anywho, as we pointed out, you know, this is a big marketing opportunity, a big money opportunity. So of course WWE is going to do it, and I'm sure they gained a lot of attention, both positive and negative, for it. But I hated the segment. Even though I tried to sort of be objective, I hated it. I mean, frankly, I thought it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing that. It was embarrassing that. It was embarrassing that.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It was embarrassing that before the segment even begins, we had what I was actually more interested in. Finally, this reveal of the weeks and weeks buildup between Goldust and R-Truth that got cut to a horrible 3 minutes, in part because the Ball needed time. And so we get the Ball family, and it was, 7 to 10 minutes of often unintelligible speech and a terrible Miz TV segment that ultimately went nowhere but to a meaningless 6-man tag team match.
That didn't include the Ball family.
That didn't include the Ball family, right? And
didn't even have them in sight.
I thought it was an embarrassment. Yes, public opportunity, you know, national exposure, that's great. But it was an embarrassment.
I mean, okay, so yeah, it was marketing genius on his part, but if you really look at the way he acted, it was kind of like he was acting like, and I hate to say this, a buffoon. It was ridiculous, and I thought that he could have done something another way. I mean, he was, yeah.
Yeah, I thought this was about as bad as Michael Jordan trying to play baseball. I didn't watch the Raw anymore. I heard about it, and that's part of the problem. This is like rubbernecking at a traffic accident. You know it's bad, but you have to stop and look. And now the back parkway's backed up to Baltimore. Stop looking, just keep driving. But the deal is, unfortunately, Bischoff is right. Controversy does create cash. And whatever Lavar, Leandro, LaDainian, all of the balls have to do, whatever they got to do, Lester and all of those balls, whatever they got to do to keep that train going, because eventually your Lucius and Larry and Curly and Mo will go off to college in the NBA, hopefully.
Do you want some balls?
You know, and then what's left? I have a pair, actually. You have that, and then what are you left with? Just a dude in his house selling $800 shoes that look like slippers? I mean, it's good for right now, but this is what WWE has always done. They did it with Betty White. They did it with Bob Barker.
Yeah.
You know, they had Joe Dirt come out there and try to do a bit. So this is pretty typical. I think because they're still reaching segments of the entire audience, it's, you know, still rippling through. But LeVar Ball is a polarizing figure, to say the least. Personally, I don't really care for his antics, but I do respect him as a small business owner that's trying to make it in the country nowadays. So if that's his hustle, people have done worse for less.
Yeah.
And you know, YouTube is a perfect example of that.
I was just going to say, Soulja Boy is a prime example of this.
I don't know what that is, but still, it is what it is, and you can either you can either like it or not like it. It's not for you, and he actually made sense when he said, if this isn't for you, then you obviously aren't a big baller. Well, he's right.
Yeah.
He's absolutely right. Now, for him to go out there and say that he can beat
for that segment,
well, he says it every single chance that he gets, so whatever. But if he goes out there and says that he can beat Michael Jordan or shoot Larry Bird out of the gym or dig up Bill, he's not dead. Dig up Bob Cousy and challenge him one-on-one into a game of horse, I don't care.
He said it's better than Jordan too, and that's just another.
Well, first of all, Jordan's overrated, so I believe him.
Thank you. Somebody agrees with me, but
hold on, first,
stop, Dwayne.
That is disrespectful to everyone.
I knew he was gonna come in.
That is so
how exactly? I mean,
that's like saying Ken Griffey Jr. was overrated.
But Ken Griffey Jr. has 650 home runs. I mean, he's actually like in the top 5 of almost every major statistical category. He physically changed the game of baseball. What did Jordan do?
I mean, he just never lost in the playoffs in the championship. He just went there and just cleaned house all the time. If he was there, he won it.
You're right. He was the one guy where he took on 12 guys and won, right? Because he certainly did have 3 other Hall of Famers with him.
Some days it looked like he was the only person on the court, period.
Yeah, well, if I was playing with the referees, I'd probably win too. But
that's LeBron.
You're right.
Well, no, if Jordan was ball, LeBron's getting there. But it's still the point remains is that LeVar Ball, love him or hate him, he's made a name for himself regardless. You can't, if you have any reference to the pop culture, you can't escape him. Whether that's good or bad is a different subject. But the idea is, good on you, dude. I'll never buy your $65 t-shirt or your $500 shoes, mostly because they're ugly. But WWE, they both benefited from this because WWE needs the exposure to an audience, and so does the balls. Just a giant sack of balls.
So what do you think WWE's target with this segment was? I mean, yeah, I get it, to get the crowd hype. I mean, the son obviously has to be a face because he just got signed with the number 2 pick to the Lakers.
Not necessarily.
But why would you want to bring your new star? I mean, the Lakers is young. They don't have anybody right now. Their new star in town to not put them over.
I mean, he didn't get put over at the draft.
Well, here's the thing, though.
They weren't in LA for the draft.
But they were in LA. So you have the hometown crowd cheering on arguably the most beloved team in Los Angeles. And Los Angeles is the second worst sports town in America, next to DC.
There's no way anybody in the world is going to ever believe that, because there's this place called Cleveland that has to be the worst.
No,
Dr. M?
Have you been to Cleveland?
Well, they just won a championship like a year ago, so they're not the worst anymore.
No, Cleveland loves their teams.
Yeah,
you can't tell that the Wizards were in the playoffs. Did you know that they were in the playoffs? I didn't see people. I mean, other than basketball fans, when the Ravens went to the championship, and I was up in Baltimore, they painted the town purple. City Hall was draped in purple and all that stuff. When the Wizards went to the playoffs, you're meh.
Oh, to a valid point of that, the Ben's Chili Bowl wall has already been changed.
Because the serial rapist was on the wall. They had to change it.
No, John Wall and Bradley Beal was up there, paid it, and they just put somebody else up there.
Do you think that the Jello pudding pop strangler would have allowed them to keep that wall up?
Oh my God!
For those of you listening around the country that have no idea what we're talking about, Ben's Chili Bowl is a historic landmark. It's a really old restaurant in DC. Don't eat there. Their food is passable, but they're a better place to do.
If you want Ben's Chili Bowl, eat it at the National Stadium. There you go.
But still, they have a mural on the side of their building that leads to an alley. And at first, it was like, some dignitaries and stuff, celebrities that have eaten at the restaurant, whether it was Obama or a local radio DJ, Donnie Simpson, or Bill Cosby, But because of the allegations, they took down Bill Cosby's face, and then they eventually whitewashed the entire mural and put up some different people up there. But the point is, Cleveland, they definitely take their sports team very seriously.
Go try it.
LeVar Brawl. Well, I'm sure.
I think that has more to do with the demographics. I mean, we have people all over the country that come into DC. So I think that
right, and no one ever goes to Cleveland. No one does.
True.
If you're from Cleveland, you're from Cleveland. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I see you, Shaker Heights. I've been there. Good on you. But no one ever, Cleveland's like the Bermuda Triangle. You would think you're going to Chicago, and then all of a sudden you're stuck. Oh my God, it's a lake. This is not Chicago. But I still think that the LeVar Ball thing, again, everything will blow over. There are people that are going to be offended by everything. You will not be able to please everyone. And long and short of it is that this is what he does. This is actually what McMahon has been doing for 50 years. Just doing stuff in the popular culture to get a rise out of people. So
that's true.
How is this any different than Trump shaving McMahon's head or the boxer dude knocking out Big Show?
Floyd Mayweather Jr.
Floyd Mayweather.
Whatever his name is, I don't know.
So I guess before we switch the topic, I just want to know who enjoyed it and just who didn't.
I did.
Hated it.
You're the only one that doesn't have common sense either.
I didn't watch.
Matter. It doesn't matter. That's why I'm silly sellers. I can go beyond the grain of salt. So I loved it.
I didn't have a problem with it either. The only aspect is that I just felt like when his father kind of went heel, but Ambrose as a face came out to save him, I was just like, I'm a little bit confused. And him doing an impersonation of a guy, of a person doing an angel in the snow in the ring was absolutely the funniest thing I've ever seen. Him running to the ring. Oh my God, I can watch that video over and over and over.
Like, what the heck is he doing?
I mean, he looked like he was like an octopus or something. Like I ain't never seen like the Conor McGregor run, but really loose spaghetti legs and hands. Like it was absolutely funny. And every time I watch it, it's on our Facebook page too. It's absolutely funny every single time I watch it.
Hey,
like
don't LaMelo look like Chucky off the Rugrats there?
Yeah, he's been getting, man, they've been firing that boy up on Twitter.
He's just a kid. Leave him alone. Class of 2019. He'll get it.
They said he dropped 90 points.
Like literally all were layups and he was shaving. He didn't even go to half court and then got an outlet pass and made a layup.
Hey, don't hate on the skills.
What skills, right? You can do that if you went to half court and somebody outlet you a pass for all those layups.
It wasn't. Maybe 70 points was outlets and pass.
See, he did not come back on defense not one time.
Hey, like that's not
crazy. That's crazy thing. I've never. Is there highlights from that game anywhere?
Yes. Well, I don't know if it's still available, but you can probably.
It's still on YouTube. It's on YouTube.
Anywho, so obviously last week we talked about the controversy with the Money in the Bank ladder match, the women's Money in the Bank ladder match with James Ellsworth. So SmackDown said, "Okay, guys, we'll do it this week on SmackDown as a redo." I mean, obviously they're saying backstage or whatever, or the rumors, wherever you want to say it, is because it's going to boost ratings, blah, 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 blah. But it happens. And it happened, and Carmella won.
Yep.
And the question to everybody, my fellow comrades, is, was Carmella the right choice to win it the second time?
I think she was the only person that could win it.
Elaborate.
I think that me and Silly Sus go back and forth about this a lot about a heel having the money. It feels right for a heel to have the Money in the Bank.
Absolutely.
And I feel like her antics and the way she presents herself, she's the perfect one for it.
Honestly, I would agree with Dwayne, but here's another thing too. Since Alexa Bliss has left, it seemed like SmackDown Women's Division needs that little talking piece, that type of wrestler. And I think Carmella fits that mold right after she left, that she can feel what Alexa Bliss did for SmackDown at the time. And I think Carmella, with her mouthpiece, can definitely give herself more credibility than her actual in-ring work, but it's gotten better. And I think she's the best person to pull it. And I think this was all part of a bigger storyline ploy, and I kind of like how they built it up by bringing her out in the beginning when Daniel Bryan was there, and she was kind of the focus of the spot again, even when James Ellsworth kind of teased that he was going to do the same thing again. To me, it just seemed like it's a bigger way to build up your next big superstar in Carmella. And once again, when you got people like Naomi or people like Charlotte that's in the ring with her that can bring the most out of her in her in-ring work, you're going to make her a better performer. I like the call. I kind of agreed with the call the first time, even though after thinking about it at the time, I hated it when it first happened. But I respected, how it built up to this point and what we had on Tuesday.
I don't even like how the match was booked, honestly. I mean, I ain't gonna say booked. I don't like how it was worked. It was consistently felt like the same thing was happening. Get to the top of the ladder, two people get up, one person pushes it over. It felt video game-ish in that sense from playing WWE 2K. But the one thing that really drove me nuts, and I really tried to get behind her so bad, and I was hoping that she would win because she would get relevance again. But as of right now, I just feel like it's almost time for her to take some break and focus on Total Divas or something. But Natalya absolutely blew me the entire match. And when she went to outside the ring with Charlotte and knocked her over the barricade to fight in the crowd,
that was terrible.
Completely took her focus off of the ladder. I was just like, and then like she looks back when it's over, like, oh my God. I'm just like, what? Like, why? And then, you know, I thought she was a good candidate to win because obviously she don't have anything going on. She was in the welcoming committee. I cannot believe we're ever going to look back and consider that to be a stable. And they actually went with it. Like,
it lasted like 2 weeks.
But yeah, they was calling it something. It's absolutely ridiculous. But Tamina, I thought she had a good run with it, so I was also rooting for her as well too. She looked very dominant in the beginning. Very, very clean in her execution of moves and stuff too.
Absolutely.
So Carmella wasn't my choice to win it the second time because I felt like her winning the first time and getting the heat gave her purpose to always chase to say she was the deserving person to win. She got screwed. It was going to give her purpose all the time. It was going to keep her in Daniel Bryan's face to say, like, you screwed me over, blah, blah, blah. Which in this case, I feel like they could have built somebody else up to get some relevancy. So, you know, Natalya could have been I felt like was my obviously no-brainer choice. But even with Natalya even having Total Divas, I was like, man, Tamina has nothing now. She's not in the welcoming committee. I mean, she's obviously back and finally healthy. What is the next steps for her? If she don't have the Money in the Bank briefcase, I don't know. I mean, she's just quickly going to just be a misused person on the roster. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say that to 2 Chainz's point, the match felt, I think, too safe, especially when you compare it to the match that happened last night, Asuka and Nikki Cross on NXT. Like, that match had the intensity that Money in the Bank should have had. I think Carmella was the right choice in the end. She has the most heat right now. Charlotte has cooled off considerably since she's gotten to SmackDown. None of the other women on SmackDown really have heat on them right now. Lana, she still has a lot of work to do. And, Becky Lynch and Charlotte, they've kind of already had their runs with championships. And I think the attitude is let's have some of these other women step up. So I think it was the right choice.
Yeah, it's hard to argue against that. I didn't watch the match just because it's a match that shouldn't have happened in the first place. But as far as where do people go from here, unfortunately, Tamina, she does draw the short end of the stick in this one because she doesn't really have any reference to her. Like, people can go back and within the last 6 months, and we generally have short-term memories nowadays. Well, Charlotte did this, or remember when Becky Lynch did that, or she was the first women's champion for SmackDown. But Tamina, Lana, what do they have to go back to where we can say, well, remember when they did that? And I know they have that potential, but we're just waiting for it to come out. Tamina, because of her lineage, we know that she can definitely do the work. Lana's still unproven, completely unproven. But it's kind of like, when is she going to get that actual, I don't want to say push, but the ability to just go and some direction. She just really doesn't have any direction.
Or momentum at all.
Well, she would have, if she had a direction, she could be pushed by momentum in that direction.
You know, one way, just not to interrupt Jamal, one way that she could do that, if you put her back with the Usos, talking about day one-ish, you remember when Tamina debuted, she debuted with the Usos, so that could be something that she can use to be a part of that stable and say we're all day one-ish. And that's where she had her biggest pop, really.
I mean, sure. I mean, there are a number of things that could be done. And I'm not going to say that, like, do anything is better than the nothing that they seem to be doing right now.
Agree, totally agree.
But still, I think that you're right, that it's kind of like, oh, that sucks. It's not that there can only be one winner.
Yep.
but some others definitely lost a lot more than others, and that's. So we'll definitely see Becky Lynch versus James Ellsworth sometime down the road. Let's go full on heel again, and she'll get back to that place. Carmella has the belt, and we know Naomi's not going to lose it anytime soon before Carmella defends it. It in. So, like, where does that leave Alana or a Tamina Snuka? I don't know.
Yeah. Agreed.
The other question is, D-Wayne, you got something to say on that?
Well said.
Nothing to say. I think I said all I said.
Lana got brought up a lot of times right here. Lana had, I mean, what is the make of Lana right now? I mean,
I like it though.
Naomi completely disintegrated her. Her finisher that she just got kicked out on, even though she got the ambush, and it actually looked like she was going to win for a second, and then Naomi completely obliterated her within a couple of moves, and it was over. I think that tremendously hurts Lana, if you ask me.
Well, see, the problem is the difference between James Ellsworth and Lana is that we know that Ellsworth has a wrestling background. We know that he came in because he was just a jobber. So he may not be a good wrestler, but we know that he can wrestle. Lana, we know that she does not have a wrestling background. And for her to come in and get a shot of the title where like you 5 other women are going to go through one of the toughest matches of, or the most high impact matches of their time on SmackDown, it's kind of like, well, why? So there are a couple of things at play. Is Lana being pushed too far, too far for the top? Is it just like a quick burn, and they're going to, just have her mid-card for the rest of her life? Is this Money in the Bank thing? Did they hype it up too much by saying that everything's a history-making event? I don't know. I don't know what they do here.
But to me, with Lana, though, she gets reaction. And that's what WWE drives for when they have any wrestlers. You get a reaction. She gets a reaction when she's a manager, and she got a reaction when she was a wrestler. But at the same time,
so did Eva Marie.
That's true. And Eva Marie could have worked if it wasn't for her suspension.
She said she was on TV
every week. Right. She was on TV every week, and she draws a reaction regardless if it's, X-Pac heat or just heel heat. You're going to get a reaction, and that's going to put you on TV. And I feel like what they're going to do with Lana is have her create herself her own character, but still she can always go back to Rusev. And I think the bigger question is when Rusev comes back, what type of stable will they have together as a husband and wife? Or will it be like 2 separate characters just on the same show? I really admire the work that Lana has done. And even the work that Lana has done, even though it's a long way away, it's definitely further than what we've seen with Eva Marie. And that match she had at the pay-per-view at Money in the Bank was not terrible. You saw she was green, but it was not terrible. And I think in what SmackDown was, Naomi needed to have that dominant win as a champion so you could retake her seriously again and have that long title reign. So I'm not mad with the booking of Lana from right now, but what you're doing is make sure you build her in the future and maybe get her a win over somebody like a Becky Lynch. Maybe get her a win. I don't want to use Tamina because we just used her. Or maybe get a win over somebody like a Natalya. Something that can happen where, okay, we're going to take Lana seriously now, because I will say her entrance with her music, I really enjoy. And I'm not meaning that in a attraction. It works for her.
But this is what I don't understand, though. She came in as this like the press secretary for Rusev and all that good stuff. Why do are we supposed to really believe that under that well-fitting business suit and pants and cold and icy demeanor is a freaking ballroom dancer?
Well, if you just maximizing her potential, but who would have thought Johnny Curtis would have turned into Fandango? I mean,
that's less of a stretch than, that would be like saying, Sergeant Slaughter turned into Fandango.
Okay, what about this? Speaking of this, let's take it back to the Attitude Era. Just what you said about the business suit and everything. What if Ivory had her gimmick that turned into what Lana's doing now? Would you be sold on that?
No, it wouldn't make any sense.
But what if Ivory was good at it?
Because she's actually a good wrestler. and that's what's going to get her over. But yeah, Ivory was a heel most of the time. She joined Right to Censor and all that good stuff. But then what if she went away from 6 months?
Right.
Yeah, what if she went away for 6 months and then came back as like a Caribbean, tropical dancer? Like, no, it doesn't make sense. Why is Aubrey and Savio Vega Maraba around the damn ring? It doesn't make sense.
I'm sorry, but when Luna decided that she wanted to be in a bra and panties match, I was completely convinced that she could have pulled it off. So the abstracts can happen from anywhere.
It really can.
But it still comes back to the wrestling, though. And the difference between the reason why Eva Marie was genuinely hated versus Lana, who may be booed, is the fact that Eva Marie can't wrestle. That's just straight up what it is. We're not booing her out of the building because she's this nuclear. She's not the Iron Sheik.
Yeah, she
can't wrestle.
Even Marie Selling was on an all-time she
literally forgot to kick out.
You know what's so funny? I saw a video today on Facebook of Hulk Hogan versus Shawn Michaels. I forgot all about this. And Shawn Michaels, how he sold every single thing Hulk Hogan did, exaggerated everything to the full list. So,
but even Marie was like One Punch Man.
Yeah. When she kicked out the her and Bayley match, absolutely might be. I'm gonna have to watch that again. I need to.
I mean, it was great from an overall spectacle wrestling standpoint. But the elephant of the room was sitting over there reading the newspaper, sipping his tea, going, "Yeah, I know she can't wrestle, right?" Because they're not booing her because she used this massive heel. And nobody wants to throw batteries at her because I can't stand what she stands for. She literally can't wrestle. And then she went away for a year and a half, and then she came back with Brian Kendrick's, finisher or whatever. And it's she's going to do that one move that she knows.
Even she couldn't even hit.
And the fans were like, "No."
Yeah, she couldn't hit it correctly.
Fans were like, "No, thank you. Get out of my gym. You suck."
Nonetheless, the ball rule thing for Lana, I'm not completely sold. I mean, the gear, I'm not totally sold on. I mean, I guess it's different. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to give her some time, but as of right now, I do not know where she goes because I mean, from even with her trash talking, she definitely didn't back it up. She doesn't have the right to come out and demand anything now.
Here you go, 2 Chainz.
I was almost to the point where I thought she was going to enter the Money in the Bank ladder match.
That's what I thought.
After that defeat by Naomi, I mean, Naomi cleaned her up.
All right, 2 Chainz. Here's a question that you can answer with Lana. If you DVR'd SmackDown, would you fast forward through her?
What, the match?
No, just through her. If Lana's on, would you say, "Oh, let me see what's going on. Let me fast forward through that"?
Every single time.
I don't know. But I don't care about you tomorrow. I want to hear from 2 Chainz. What would 2 Chainz do?
From eye candy standpoint, I mean, yeah. But from the fact of her watching the match, I don't even have to fast forward. I guarantee she wouldn't make the Hulu cut.
What do you mean from eye candy standpoint when we've already seen all the candy on the internet already?
I'm really gonna have to change the topic on that one. I have no comeback for that one. Not at all. Anybody got anything to say?
Nope.
Unless she pulls wrestling out of her hat, she serves no purpose. Get out.
Okay.
So yeah, moving on. Randy Orton comes out to the ring. He actually did cut a really good promo. I mean, I don't feel like he was legend killer as Randy Orton, but he was dangling around that part. But nonetheless, he demanded that he got a rematch with the modern day Maharaja, Jinder Mahal. And nonetheless, he got his wish. I mean, they said that Shane McMahon said he's never seen Randy Orton this serious and, family and blah, 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 blah. I thought it was a good segment all the way around. Nonetheless, Jinder Mahal comes out. He pays homage to the great Khali and said that if we're going to have this match, he gets to pick the stipulation, and the stipulation is to bring back, which was the heavily rumored, to Punjabi prison match. I mean, I don't know. A lot of people were both ways with this. I didn't get a good sense of if people were acceptable of this, thinking it could be pulled off. I mean, we got better athletes in it this time. I mean, it was Batista and it was Batista and
the Great Khali
before, but Randy Orton and Jinder Mahal, better athletes in my eyes. Nonetheless, do you think that this match, which is going to be at the WWE Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view?
No, Battleground.
Oh, Battleground. My bad. Do you think that this match is going to be booked correctly? And what I mean by that is that we already seen what Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt did with the House of Horrors match and did not get a good reception. Will this be different? Will it be this? I mean, will it get the same reception? Will it be different? I mean, what do you guys think about this?
I'm hopeful because I'm all in on Jinder. I'm hopeful because I'm all in on Jinder, and I want him to have a big success in this match because I want him to have that medium length reign, that summer reign. Even if he loses at SummerSlam or September, I want him to make sure that he dominates and proves people wrong of why he should be a champ. Because I've been very pleased at seeing him as your SmackDown WWE champion.
I would love to see Jinder take it all the way to the belt to Survivor Series, where he eventually sets up a program with AJ Styles.
Okay, I like that. I like that call.
But as far as this match is this goes, I do think that with the better a better worked match, because unfortunately, Khali not the best technical wrestler ever, and neither was Batista. Both of them fine for what they did, but yeah, the first match was not very good. So could they bring it back if it were? Yeah, they absolutely could, and they could do better. So good luck to them. I hope they do well.
Yeah, I hope they do well too. Oh no, really, I think I was flabbergasted when I saw Punjabi Prison match. Why are they this match? I don't want to see this. I mean, maybe it'll be a good match. But I mean, everyone knows Jinder's going to maintain and move on to another,
Well, unfortunately, I think that if I'm not mistaken, I didn't watch SmackDown. It was Jinder who set the match up.
Uh-huh.
I don't understand logistically why he would put himself in a cage when that should effectively nullify the Singh brothers from outside interference.
Yeah. I mean,
so
trying to prove a point.
And also in a match where you're the champion, wouldn't you want a match where you don't, you could win, you still could lose but retain the belt? So that's not a thing either. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Look, it doesn't matter.
But you know what though?
You want to
know? Go ahead.
Matter? Because I'm going to have a new candidate for my Cena Monster Files in a little bit.
Oh dear.
Ooh, what? Blow the dust off of that one.
Name is Jinder Mahal.
You know what though? I honestly think that Jinder Mahal is not. What would you call it? Like not a champion like how Seth Rollins was. It's a weaseling champ, just trying to escape to win matches and stuff like that. I think he's really trying to win and prove himself over pride, which makes his gimmick all more realistic because people hate him for doing the American thing. Which is why he said, you don't like me because of how blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
But the Singh brothers,
anti-American.
Right. But I mean, the Singh brothers is there, because they are his backup. But I think he legitimately wants to prove that he can beat Randy Orton straight up. And I mean, he kind of said that, this match pays back to his heritage. Mm-hmm. So that's why I pick it. So I mean, and in fact, he's not just only putting the belt on the line. He's actually putting, his dignity, his ego, and what he believes in all on that. I think it's a good story. I mean, at this point, it's pretty hard to not be a Jinder Mahal fan for real.
Hey, look, hold on. I always wanted to say this. I think it's hilarious how big Jinder Mahal is and how little the Singh brothers are. I think it's hilarious.
I really do.
That's my backup. You're bigger than them.
To this day, we will never forget the moment when the Singh brothers got tossed over the announce table by Randy Orton. They might as well be little boys for how they've been treated. And being next to Jinder Mahal really makes them look really small.
How that's any different than Dalton Castle with his boys, or how Triple H or Seth Rollins was with Joey Mercury.
Hey,
what about the Edge heads with Edge?
Exactly.
I thought that was funny too.
Right. No, I mean, I think it's fine. I think Jinder's actually fine. And I think that it's really good. It's great. It couldn't have worked out better for WWE. The way this is going, he's getting the love internationally. They went nuts in Vancouver when he came out because he's from Calgary, I believe.
Yep, he is.
So yeah, I mean, good on him. It's great. I think logistically, a cage match doesn't make much sense though.
So that
it comes back.
Yeah. To that point you just brought up though, I mean, do you think that the WWE had any idea how big of a star he was going to become? I mean,
Absolutely
yes,
not at all.
We always talked about their focus on India, but did they actually think by any means that they was going to get split crowds and obviously huge pops at house shows? I mean, you even got every single caliber of superstars backstage giving him credit. He has not failed a drug test yet either. So, and even that hush has went away. So is he legitly, proving it in the ring, proving it outside the ring? Is he doing all the right stuff right now?
Absolutely. And it shows so that if WWE gives people a chance, Cody Rhodes, Mr. Kennedy, that they could be great at what they do. I'm just saying. And it's the proof is in the pudding.
Mr. Kennedy and great in the same sentence.
He is great. He just got hurt at the wrong time. He was your Money in the Bank from WrestleMania 23, and he was going to be the illegitimate child that was going to be one of the greatest stories of WWE history. Do not fake on Mr. Kennedy. He is a world champion, 2-time world champion.
Yeah, I don't think I ever went on podcast without breaking Mr. Kennedy yet.
I don't think I've ever heard any podcast reference Mr. Kennedy. Ever.
It's okay. I will do the referencing for Mr. Kennedy Anderson.
Oh my goodness. You made me lose my whole train of thought.
I'm sorry.
Damn, I forgot what I was about to say. Somebody help me out here because this Mr. Kennedy talk got me razzled.
Jinder Mahal.
As it should, because we're talking about Mr. Kennedy in 2017.
Yes, okay. So back to Jinder Mahal.
Jinder's fine.
Take the one to put it at 0. We'll be all the way talking about Mr. Kennedy on every single podcast. I'm telling you.
To those that's constantly reading the rumor sheets and everything, who did Jinder Mahal pin at a live show this week?
Seth freaking Rollins.
Yes. What do you guys think of that? Matter of fact, what do you guys think of Seth Rollins being the one to step up to take that match anyway?
That's great.
There's a house show. Who cares?
That's the house show.
It's glorified practice.
No. I get it's a house show, but I mean, Seth Rollins didn't have to step up to take the match. Seth Rollins basically said that he wanted the match.
Seth Rollins doesn't have really anything to do right now.
Right. I mean, that's like saying, oh yeah, guess what? I made a half-court shot.
They're not on the same brand. So technically, he didn't have to take that match.
But that's great for him. He's showing that he wants to build other superstars because it's just overall great. I like it.
Yeah, no, it just tells me that when somebody of Seth Rollins' caliber, who could be considered the best wrestler in WWE, to say I will work a match with Jinder Mahal, that says a lot to me.
Yeah,
I think he was just.
I think it's in a house show, so it's like saying, "Hey, remember when I kicked that 65-yard field goal in pregame warmups?"
No, that's not. I mean, I get your point because it's not because it happened on a house show. It doesn't exist. But I mean, like again, they're not touring technically together, so he didn't technically have to take that match. I mean, Rusev could have took that match for all it will be because he was there.
I mean, he's not wrestling on Mondays either. He's just looking up a screen every week.
Yeah. Well, but I don't think I would make too much of it. Maybe it is practice for like a in a promotional show, like when they do Raw at the wasn't Lesnar on a SmackDown show recently at Madison Square Garden? I think their schedules work out. Stuff happens like that. I wouldn't read too much into it.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, I just hope, you know, if we're able to get another match, what's the word I'm looking for? A match with some importance between the two of them, like their NXT match. I mean, I'm looking forward to it all the way. Moving on to the next thing. So, Ross and Lita has been announced to be the announcers for the Mae Young Classic. Did WWE get this one right?
Nope.
No.
I agree.
All knows.
Yeah.
You know, to keep this topic relatively short, let's just hear some replacements. Or who would you like? Who would have been your duo or trio? Who you would have had?
Renee Young and Sarah Del Rey.
I agree. I couldn't think of anybody when you just put it out like that of your play-by-play being Renee Young and Sarah Del Rey. Yeah, I agree. I like that.
Because Renee Young was pretty decent at commentary for NXT when she did it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've heard her on commentary in the Indies, and she definitely knows her stuff. So, sure. But I'm not saying that Jim Ross can't do it because he's a guy and it's a women's tournament, whatever. It is one thing, but it is kind of like, why? You know?
Right.
Why did you it's the same thing with James Ellsworth, you know? You're setting up this women's history and all this good stuff, and you have James Ellsworth does what he does.
Gotcha.
Who else you got?
I'm fine with Jim Ross being there. Jim Ross equals automatic legitimacy, right? So I think that was a perfect pick. I would definitely replace Lita though with Renee Young. I like the Renee Young pick, and you know Lita's kind of a terrible speaker.
She is. She is.
Kind of.
You guys have seen her if you happen to ever check out like the kickoff shows and the occasional times where she's done like interviews on Raw and stuff. It's kind of hard to watch. And so I'm not looking forward to having her at all on a commentary mic for this whole tournament. I think Renee would be a much better choice.
But Renee would be the commentary and Lita would be the color analyst. So you would want to replace Lita.
I don't think that matters. She's a terrible speaker either way.
No, I agree. She's absolutely garbage. But I do think that you would want to replace her with another wrestler, and Renee Young would not be that person.
D-Man, what about you?
Roman Reigns.
I mean, personally, I would want to for this tournament. I would want all women's commentary.
Yeah,
I would agree with Sarah Del Rey and Renee. Because I mean, even though Jim Ross, he breaks that. Oh yes, Jim Ross. I'm one of the best commentary in WWE history. Well, okay, that's good and fine, but I mean, you're doing something for women. Why not have women do commentary for it?
Yep, to Jamal's point, definitely. For me, I would have went with Beth Phoenix. If I would have did two women, I would have went with Beth Phoenix, and I think, I know this is not going to be a popular statement, but I think Beth Phoenix and Paige would have made a good combination.
I can see
to carry this. Paige, I think, showed a glimpse of being able to call matches, sort of say, or commentary
on Tough Enough. Yep, yes. Absolutely.
I mean, she's still contracted. Bring her back. Let her do something. She's hurt. She's rehabbing, but let her do something. And no matter what's happening outside of WWE, because it's, you know, it's whatever.
Too soon.
Overall, no, I don't think it's too soon. I think we're way past this now. I mean, look. I even got to back. I can back this up. She hasn't even been released from Total Divas.
Nope.
Whereas Eva Marie has, who hasn't even officially been released from WWE. So, I think Paige could have worked there. If I could have did a 1 and a 2, I probably would have went with Renee Young and Corey Graves. But nonetheless, I do agree with Jamal's point. I think if it's a women's event, I mean, let the women, let some of the legends or current wrestlers, whoever, let the women have their moment in this. Even Sasha is a sort of say attractive person that could have worked this as well too. But I mean, because look, it's only going to take what 2 days out of their. It's going to take 1 or 2 days out of their touring, and one other day later on in the year. So, on this note about the Mae Young, real quick, Jamal, I read some stuff a little bit of different on from what we had originally said about how this is going to be released.
Yeah, apparently it's all going to be shot in 2 days, and that is July 13th or 14th, I believe. But they're going to release 4 episodes at a time in August. I don't have the exact dates in front of me, but they're going to release 4 episodes at a time in August, and another 4 in September. And I think the finals are going to be in October, live after SmackDown. From Vegas.
Yep. All right. So for our last comment before we get to run down to the news and do we care segment. So New Japan is getting ready to do the G1 Climax, which is going to be in
Long Beach.
It's going to be Long Beach, Florida.
California.
California, sorry. And not only will this be live on Access TV, which I didn't know everybody didn't have because I thought it was just a regular channel, but I have it. The New Japan English site is up. And they're just going a lot of momentum, especially with some of the work that some of the New Japan talent is doing with ROH as well. But whatever it may be, I just posed this question. This is going to be a really loosely answered question, or to whatever anyone beliefs are. Do y'all think that New Japan is officially ready to start taking over the U.S. market?
Nope.
Is this officially the right time? Are they well equipped? Can they do it?
Yes and no.
No.
D-Man, let's start with you.
All right. No, if I can, no. I want to say yes and no. I think yes, because of the talent and skill set of the wrestlers. And I think that as pure wrestling fans would want to see that. No, because again, even though we have English-speaking wrestlers over there, we still have the Japanese wrestlers over there as well. So it's that language barrier that we have to get over. Because even with Nakamura, his accent is so strong that it's just like talking just that a little bit. So I'm trying to figure out how that will work out over here.
What about you, Doc?
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
What'd you say, 2 Chainz?
I was gonna say, what about you, Dr. M?
Well, I mean, I don't think New Japan is ready to take over anything just yet. Not that they don't have the talent, but if you're going to take over any market in the U.S., you need, I think, a much bigger financial backing and TV outlet than what they currently have. Could they potentially do it in the future? I don't see why not. People are always looking for an alternative to WWE. And if WWE keeps having more LeVar Ball segments, then I see there's a potential for a promotion like New Japan to say, hey, let's try something different here. People might flock to them. So they're not ready, but potentially somewhere down the road, I think they could, do something significant.
And so else?
Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. Did you call me up, 2 Chainz?
Yeah, I tuned you in.
Yeah. I got a phone call. Hold on 1 second. I'm recording live. I'll open the door for you. Sorry, I have to do some transparency. So, but to answer your question, this one is kind of hard for me. I would love to see New Japan or somebody to compete against WWE, but at this state in time, at least where we are financially, and Dr. M kind of alluded to that, it's only going to be one major league. And that major league is going to be WWE. And I think they're going to just dominate that product because they're just so far advanced on what the Monday Night Wars was, back in the late 90s, that nobody else can compete with that. And in order to compete with that, you need to have the financial backing and what everybody already said, the English-speaking capabilities and some marketability where you can make sure people are going to want to tune in your product day in and day out. TNA came close, failed. ROH tried to come close, failed. And I just see New Japan right now only doing the same thing that those two companies have done and just staying like that. With the Access TV, I think that's great, but it's still not a market where a lot of people has. I think even Jamal said off air that it's only 30% of households in the U.S. have that channel, and it's just still not enough. And what the world is, as wrestling community fans, and always can see stuff on YouTube or on the internet, I think that's where it needs to stay and enhance. Use that market of your international internet or your national internet, what you want to use as your streaming, and blow up that way.
All right.
It would be interesting to see if that happens. The short answer is no. They're not ready right now to go head-to-head with WWE. No one is, ever. They are physically the biggest wrestling promotion in the entire world. There's no one bigger than them on the planet. They are the Walmart of wrestling. Can they compete with WWE? I say, honestly, they don't have to. They, what I would like to see is them just be an alternative. Same thing with Ring of Honor. Same thing with TNA. Don't be WWE. Just be yourself and be the alternative. Whether the people come or they don't come is, something that you have to figure out later. But you cannot go head to head as a, direct thing of competition to WWE. It's not going to work out too well. But they absolutely need content. Not everybody gets Access TV. A lot of people do, but not everybody. That's number one. Number two, they need content in English, and they don't produce a lot of shows in Japan. They only run shows on TV over there once a month, and I think they have like a 1-hour weekly television show that recaps everything. So, and New Japan World isn't user-friendly if you don't speak Japanese. So they need to fix all of those things and then bring shows that come on at a decent hour in the U.S. because that time difference. I mean, here on the East Coast, rest of the New Japan shows start at about 4 in the morning. So, and then late it's 3 in the morning in the wintertime because of the time we fall back. So all of those things would need to be taken into account before they even think about putting something else on Monday night. And I think that with their YouTube page that they don't really have, with their English website that they don't really use, selling out Long Beach is a good show. But could they sell out the Alamo Dome?
No.
I don't think so.
Not at all.
And I think that if you're not ready to compete on that level, where you can sell out the Alamo Dome, where people in England are begging you to come to Wembley, sell out Wembley Stadium, where tickets don't go in hours, they go in minutes. No matter how bad you think WWE is, you have to respect the fact that shows, the biggest shows, sell out. You need to, if you don't have SummerSlam tickets by now, good luck on StubHub because it may not work out for you. and we all know that it's going to be whatever it's going to be. But New Japan isn't there in the U.S. More importantly, they're not there in the U.S., Canada, or England. So I hope that it goes well. I would love to see them set up like an actual base camp in Hawaii, so that the time difference and the logistics work out a little bit better. It's halfway between Japan and Los Angeles, but just because they're in Los Angeles doesn't really mean much to me if I got to fly 6 hours just to see them live. So I might as well go to a PWG show then. And they should be bigger than that if they're trying to compete with WWE.
Right.
So I hope it works out, and I think it will work out. But then they're just getting started.
I think my only thing to add to this for real is that I think that in order for you to be successful in the U.S. market, you have to cater to all fans. And I think New Japan is absolutely, a phenomenal wrestling brand. You get really good quality wrestling, but lack of entertainment, which the entertainment side is more directly.
I disagree wholeheartedly with that.
What do you mean?
I think that New Japan, it's not up to. There's a difference between sports and sports entertainment. New Japan is presenting wrestling as a sport with their backstage interviews and their MMA style production and stuff like that. If people are going to look at New Japan Pro Wrestling and they're going to go into the Long Beach Civic Center this weekend, and they're going to go, "Where's Flo Rida? Where's the Ball family?" how come there's not inflatable tube men everywhere? Where are the fireworks? If you watch Wrestle Kingdom and you were up at 7 a.m. before Omega versus Okada, and you were hyped, and you went, well, damn, I thought Pitbull was supposed to be on the show. Then you're not watching the same thing.
Right, but but my point is that, to the wrestling, to the fans who want to watch quality wrestling, really high caliber wrestling, from start to finish, New Japan is definitely your go-to. But they need the entertainment side in order to reach the kids in America. The kids that the parents are going to say, I don't even know what this is you want to go see so bad, but I'll go take you to go see it. I feel like the fact that, New Japan doing partnerships with Tekken helps to bring that those casual fans in, the gamers. But that's why WWE is so good, because WWE has toys marketed for girls, for boys, all ages, all types of fans.
That's great in the business.
Right.
That's all great in the business. The problem is that their wrestling, the actual thing that we want to see from them, has suffered in the process.
But that's the problem. That's what you're wrong. It's not what when you say we want to see. When you say we want to see, no, you're right. I get it. If you want to go, make sure you see some. Like, you're not going to ever see a WWE pay-per-view when it was good matches after good match after good match after good match. New Japan, you will get that. And definitely in a climatic state where you get match better. But WWE just happens to give you the gimmicks matches, the Flow Rider segments, and all that other stuff. And not that I want to see it, but the kids too want to see this. Like,
everything has to be for the kids, though.
No, but the kids is what sells. I mean, like, honestly, at the Alamo Dome,
he's right.
The matter of fact, WrestleMania, the little kid next to me was like, "Hey, they got belts." So their parents was like, "Can they see them?" Cool. They come back, 2 Money in the Bank briefcases and all this other stuff, strictly because of what we had. And those parents didn't care nothing about wrestling that day, because they were on their phone and all they wanted to do was take pictures for their kids with the belts or just of themselves. So
you can't guarantee that everything's going to work out for the kids. What you need to do is build a base, and your base is 18 to 35-year-old male or females, probably mostly males. Once they tell their friends and then they get older and have their kids, then they'll go and bring their kids. But I don't think that we have to keep everything PG. I honestly think that New Japan, if they're serious, they should either be on Fox Sports or ESPN.
Oh, they don't need a week. FS1 will be. That would be monumental if they're able to do something like that.
They need to be on a major network that 90% of the country will see. They need to be on a major network that has terrestrial airway ties too, because WWE, which is distributed by NBC, will occasionally put on WrestleMania on NBC, or Saturday Night Main Event, or Tribute to the Troops. On NBC, on Fox, or whatever, or ABC. I don't care, but if they need to be on a sports network. I don't know what Access TV was, and I'm just now looking it up. Apparently, it used to be another channel, and then they changed it to that. The idea is, you cannot compete head to head with WWE.
Yeah, well,
you cannot.
Just so we can get off this topic, so we can get ready to start closing up the show. I will say the one thing that they are doing right now is Cody Rhodes being in the main event picture. He's a big star. He's a big name. And I think that does help to bring the fans who may not know the Japanese, what would I say, the Japanese born talent, may not be familiar with them, but may be familiar with Cody Rhodes, to be a little bit intrigued to say, like, oh, who's this guy he must be facing, since the other guy has the belt, I mean, obviously Okada's a huge star.
Yep.
But Cody Rhodes is as big as the stars they come in wrestling, off the pedigree of his name and all. And, with him just winning the ROH belt, I mean, the whole wrestling world made comments about it. So the fact that he's going against facing Okada for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, I mean, there has to be some intrigue with that as well too. So I think that's a good start to get some intrigue overlooking to him, especially being on American soil. But anyway, Jamal.
Okay, so there's some quick news before we get out of here. Down in dear old Mexico, Penta L0M, also known as Pentagon Jr., was robbed at gunpoint by 3 masked men on motorcycles this morning. He was in an Uber on his way to the airport. He needed to be in Seattle for Defy Wrestling this weekend. And 3 guys took his wallet, keys, cell phone, backpack, which contained his mask and his ring gear. And he couldn't leave the country because he was robbed and they stole his passport. Went to the airport anyway. Mexicans said, nah, no, it's not going to happen for you. So that's really, really, really unfortunate that happened. So if you're on eBay, look out for it because you know that's going to be going down soon. The women's Money in the Bank ladder match was a thing that definitely happened this Tuesday. And backstage at SmackDown Live in San Diego, there was a big reunion picture that went around the internet. Victoria wanted to be in that picture, but WWE management did not let her into the building. So that's kind of interesting, considering that she was rumored to make a return several times in the past, 6 months.
Side note with that, my wife is out in LA working the BET Awards, and I forgot what restaurant she said she was in, but actually saw Victoria there, and it was around the time that Raw was going on, and a lot of fans were coming up to there asking for pictures and asking for autographs. So it's just very interesting how, I don't know if she lives in LA now, but it's just very interesting how, like you said, she's trying to make those rumbles to get back in, but I would not be surprised if she eventually comes back to WWE for a small-time Legends fee or something, not fee, but a Legends appearance or something like that. But it could happen.
The Mae Young Classic could have been a good.
That would have been a good surprise. There's still room for that surprise, so hopefully that does happen.
Didn't let her in the building. Jeez.
Also in SmackDown Live news, good news for Tyson Kidd.
Good, okay.
He's out of the house and he's going back to work. He is a SmackDown Live producer. Off again is a small miracle because he basically has the same injury that Christopher Reeve had. But he's going to be backstage doing things, and Natalya and him can still do some Total Diva stuff as they'll both be on SmackDown together.
That's awesome. Good.
That's great news. Great news. And I feel bad that just another tidbit that he got hurt off the Muscle Buster, and I think Samoa Joe is one of the safest workers that you ever have in this business. And the fact that he got hurt from that, even though it brought on by previous neck injuries in his career, but still just very fortunate, as you said. So great news on that.
Yep. Obviously, Lonzo Ball and the Danian Ball, LaVar Ball, all the balls. There was just a ton of balls in the ring at the Raw this past Monday. And so some choice words were used by young LaMelo Ball that, shouldn't really be said ever by anyone. Now, in general, WWE put out an official statement saying that, quote, the inappropriate language used by a guest during MITB was not scripted nor reflects WWE values. Sure, it doesn't. But other wrestlers, such as Curtis Axel, Braun Strowman, they all took, offense. Not necessarily offense, but they definitely weren't pleased with the segment because that was TV time and they didn't have. So that was a bit unfortunate. But Braun Strowman said, I wanted to stomp him out myself. So David Otunga says TMZ caught up with him on the set of whatever movie he's working on, the Marine 6 Detroit, I guess. I don't know what's going on with him.
But coming to a theater near you in August.
I feel like
we have to a barbershop near you.
I feel like we have disrespected Detroit the last 4 shows at least.
I was just there. I love Detroit.
But what about Patterson, New Jersey, though?
Hey, man, we love that place.
No, we don't.
We love that place.
We don't. We do not. David Otunga said to TMZ Sports that he is begging Vince McMahon to bring LaVar Ball back. He told him that he wants LaVar Ball to come back and he wants to do a segment with him. He will actually leave the set of the Marine 6 Detroit, and to come back to WWE to do a segment with him. I guess the question is, why would we ever need to see David Otunga on TV?
As long as he has that lawyer gimmick.
True. But who do you think is worse though? Who comes out worse on this, David Otunga or LeVar Ball?
Push. They both lose.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, fair loses fans there. And the last thing, if you haven't seen it, if you haven't listened to it, it's an hour. It's absolutely insane. But Scott Steiner did a live Q&A with Wrestling Press yesterday, and hyping up Impact Wrestling Slammiversary in Orlando. So he was asked about the thought of what he thinks about the current state of wrestling business. And he said, quote, "The first few changes they need to get rid of is Stephanie McMahon and Hunter McMahon. Because they're two idiots. Because they're two idiots running the whole place up there. I mean, it's like, I feel sorry for the wrestlers up there. They got to follow the instructions of these two idiots who clearly don't know what they're doing." And he said, speaking about Triple H, people don't want to watch it because the ratings are down. That's why I call Hunter McMahon, is because she obviously wears the pants. He's ballless walking around human being.
There's the word ball again. I know I'm going to name this episode today.
There's a lot of hate in that statement.
Great balls of fire. That's the name of this episode.
We don't have to copyright for that. You're right.
Okay, so the questions were asked about him potentially joining the WWE Hall of Fame.
Oh, come on.
Never.
And he said no. Vince get paid, to put on the show. Yeah, will pay me. The show program. I mean, I ain't doing that for free. He doesn't do anything for free. If he wants, I'll go if the price is right. But then he said mostly about the Hall of Fame is that it doesn't actually exist. It's kind of a joke. And he said, well, how they have statues in the Hall of Fame of the bust of different wrestlers. And he says, and I quote, "Have you seen that statue of the Macho Man? That's never going to leave Stephanie's bedroom. So you ain't never going to see that in the Hall of Fame."
What?
Yep. So if you haven't heard Scott Steiner, look it up on the internet. It's there for you. It's an hour. It's highly entertaining.
Was he in?
So let's move on quickly to Do We Care?
I think he was intoxicated.
I think so too. And if you're in, I want to say Florida, do stop by the Shoney's that Scott Steiner owns. I can't wait to go.
They still exist?
Yeah, he owns like 3 of them. So I'll be down there. Baron Corbin bought a new house. Do we care?
Yes.
What?
Absolutely not.
Of course you know, Dr. M.
You said Baron Corbin what?
He bought a new house.
Oh, I don't care.
Okay. 2 Chainz is on you, bro.
I'm sorry. I was looking up the Scott Steiner stuff, and I'm looking at it, and it's 5 parts to the. Oh yeah, I see why. Oh, okay, sorry.
Corbin's house. Do we care?
Yeah, we care.
Okay.
Why do y'all care?
Because he bought a house, and he's a Money in the Bank champion, and he deleted Dr. M.
Well, and apparently the house belonged to the Big Show, and so for some reason WWE felt the need to publish a story about that.
Yeah. What was interesting though is that the house that Big Show bought it from, he bought it from the Undertaker.
So just all these big men are buying this house, huh?
Right. So I'm sure it has a really high cabinet.
Ceilings.
Yeah.
Easy work by that realtor.
Right. So that's a thing that people needed to care about today. Let's move on here. Who am I looking at? Oh, Jerry Lawler revealed how much he made in his WrestleMania 27 match against Michael Cole.
Yes, I think. Yes. Yes.
How much did he make?
$130,000.
Wow.
It says it was the single biggest payday as a wrestler.
Are you kidding me?
That is wild.
Are you kidding me? And that match was terrible.
Okay, guys, we need to get into WWE somehow.
Right. You've been saying that for years, Dr. M, but you're totally right about this one now.
Yep. His illustrious career, and he's wrestled for 50 years. The biggest paycheck he's ever had was a match with Michael Cole.
Wow.
Impact and Global Force has officially joined together. But to celebrate at Slammiversary this weekend, they're bringing a pretty big star. Do we care?
No.
Yes.
No.
Well, you got outvoted, so no, we don't care.
Who's the star, though?
Dude, did you care?
You don't care.
Right. So, now we have last one. Bobby Roode. He talked a little bit about his career, WWE, and how well it's working. He also gave who his dream match would be with anyone dead and alive. Do we care?
I care.
Of course you would care. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's say all four care.
Okay. So he would love to get in the ring with Kurt Hennig. And that totally makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
That would be a perfect match. No pun intended.
It absolutely would. But he also said that he would love to have a wrestling match at WrestleMania with John Cena. I guess. I mean, Cena is the biggest guy in the company, and he's probably the only guy in the company that he really hasn't worked with. So that also makes sense too. So that's it. Do we care this week? I'm done.
Well,
and I got one more. Do we care?
Oh, okay. Go ahead, man.
The promos for John Cena's return says free agent. Do we care?
Nope.
You know what's funny about this? It's like we don't care because we know it's John Cena, and he was gonna always do what he wanted to do in the first place anyway. So at some point, if he doesn't have the red belt and the black belt on him, I will be highly disappointed that he didn't reach his peak level of Super Saiyan Cena.
What is the thing? I mean, Cena's the biggest guy in the company. Ratings are consistently down, and we've covered that for like a month straight. The ratings are hitting, historic lows for the year. So what are you going to do? But you put the biggest guy on TV, and put him everywhere. They'll have him do a program for Raw for a month. Then he'll go back to SmackDown for a month, and then he'll go back to Raw for a month, and the next thing you know, it'll be Royal Rumble. And he'll win that too.
This is true.
So, no, I mean, that's the thing. And unfortunately, they don't have a guy to replace him yet. They thought it was going to be Roman Reigns. It's not, at least not yet. And they thought that it was going to, nobody else is really, ready to be that John Cena guy. And they don't really have that guy. So,
I mean, straight up, if John Cena don't get his own Total Cena show on E, like I'm just gonna be disappointed at this time. Like he just taking over everything. So, what else is funny? How John Cena gets the WWE Network to promote his show on Fox Network. Fox will not promote anything WWE related ever. How is that possible?
Because NBC distributes WWE programming. Why would they?
But Fox doesn't show anything WWE, but WWE promotes Fox's show because of John Cena.
Right. Because
Cena.
No, because guess who co-produced the show?
Who? Cena?
WWE.
I didn't know that.
No. Yeah, WWE co-produces True Grit or whatever, American Grit or whatever. Grits and Eggs.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all.
So, yeah, I mean, like with a lot of those movies that are like, that movie Slight, for example.
Yeah, I know. I know.
That's not something that would normally be a thing, but they co-produced it, so they're going to put it out there.
But that makes sense then.
WWE didn't promote John Cena in Trainwreck with Amy Schumer a couple years ago.
Yeah, that's true too.
Nobody knew he was in that because they had nothing to do with it. So there's no money for them for that.
And it wasn't spoke of. It was in the what was that dad movie?
Neighbors.
Yeah, he was he had a bit in Daddy's Home with Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a major role. He was in The Wall earlier this year, which I thought was pretty damn good. And he was in Trainwreck. Definitely both bigger roles. And WWE didn't mention any of that. And you know that WWE loves the military, women wrestling in like some kind of pudding, and America. And The Wall at all. So, and that came and went just as quickly as it came. But so yeah, they produced American Grit. So
I know that new to me. But anywho, this has been feel like a long show, but I'm not even sure what time it is. We got started late today. But nonetheless, any closing remarks again from anybody before we roll out of here?
Have a happy 4th. Yeah, happy Canada Day.
July 1st, right?
That's right.
Right. Make sure y'all subscribe to the YouTube channel at Big Go Belt. On YouTube, click that bell so you can get those notifications when we go live. I mean, seriously, like if you want to be in the in our live chat feed and interact with us, get your comments heard or read on the show and stuff like that. The only way you can do it is if you subscribe and know when we go live. I mean, yes, we try to target 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Times, but we are humans and we do have flaws or whatever to make us start late, CPT, but nonetheless,
racist.
Vince McMahon.
We do our thing. We'll have something out for Thursday. But anyway, for people listening to us, for LaMelo Ball, Lavar Ball, Lonzo Ball, Crab Ball, Dr. Ball, Silly Ball.
I want to be Monster Ball.
Why do I have to be Silly Balls?
And 2 balls. We'll catch y'all. We'll catch y'all next week.